Hey there, Shannon Horne-Ellstrom here. Welcome to day 355 of our Let's Grow annual challenge. Today we are continuing to apply the RAPLIG process to a life framework area. Today's life framework area of the 9, I have 10 fingers, 9 is contribution. How do we interact with and show up in the world around us, in our lives and in the world? How do we impact it? I'm like, we need to all make the world a better place. If we're all just being the best individual that we can be, continually improving and becoming the best possible version of ourselves, then we're contributing in a positive way and making the world a better place. Well, of course, we've got the RAPLIG process to help us do that. We're going to review September was the month that we covered contribution. We're going to go back. We're going to look at our notes in our handy dandy Let's Grow Annual Challenge book. I always keep a journal for each challenge. I just actually ran across last year's because last year's book wasn't big enough and I had to go into this year's. Now this year's is going to be big enough and I'll start a new book because my journal for this year is pretty well worn and pathetic. The cover fell off, I don't know, months ago, and I taped it with electrical tape because my son-in-law's and alignments, we always have electrical stuff around. Okay, so we're going to review September. What type of things did we cover? What tools do we use? We used the SOAP framework, of course. We used our growing process. We used different topics and tools with respect to contribution to help us to show up in the world in the way we want to show up in the world, because it's entirely up to us. We've got Bert's story and guide to the Let's Grow Annual Challenge private Facebook group. And he, of course, did these. He didn't do them in the RAPLIG order, but they're in there and each of the components are in there. So, for example, some of the things that stood out to him as ahas and reviews and exercises and tools that were really powerful were the legacy mapping exercise, the gratitude circle, the 80-20 impact rule, of course, and then the service challenge. We did a service challenge to help us to get outside of ourselves, right? If I'm ever struggling with anything, if I'm having a hard time, if something's going on in my life that is not necessarily me, but somebody I love and care about and bothering me, I find ways to contribute to the world in a positive way. Now, my definition of how do I contribute to the world in a positive way is, am I in any way, shape, or form helping to make the world a better place? If I'm helping anyone in a positive way, I'm making the world a better place. So I have a very loose definition of contribution, because a lot of people think, oh, if I'm not tithing to my church, or if I'm not donating X percentage of my income to a charity or a cause that I care about, then I'm not contributing. But that's absolutely positively crazy. And we learned that through Bert's experience as well as our own experience. There are so many ways to contribute, especially to your community, to those around you, to causes that you care about. And a lot of them have nothing to do with doling out the cash, right? A lot of times our expertise and our energy and our participation and our time is a lot more valuable to contribute than actual dollars. Now, donating money is the easiest way to contribute. Let's be honest. It's easy to just dole out some money, but it's a lot more rewarding to actually get involved and engaged with things that you care about to help make the world a better place. So he's got his goal. He shared his progress. He set a goal to spend 15% of his time contributing and doing acts of contribution. And as of today, he's already at 18%. So he's ahead of that. And it's time, because he wanted to reserve his resources for other projects he's involved in, but he also knew that he could free up some time by prioritizing other things in his life better. And some of the other areas of the life framework that he's been working on have helped him to do that, like time blocking and things. I like to ask myself, is what I'm doing or what I'm thinking about doing going to make the world a better place? And if the answer is I don't know or no, then the answer to me is no, not at this time to that project or thing. There's plenty of people out there making the world a worse place. So I want to make sure that I hold myself personally accountable to not making the world a worse place. Now, I'm sure people could argue that my videos make the world a worse place, but that's in their opinion, right? And it's just like beauty. We all get our own opinion of what is beautiful, what is not, what is productive, what is not, what is positive and making the world a better place, and what is not. And usually the people that are judging and saying, oh, you're not making a difference, you're not doing enough, are those that aren't doing anything, right? Or that have never done what it is that you're trying to do in the world. So I did start to fill out my RAPLIG form because I've been using it in my book. I did a couple of reviews and lessons learned thing from my experience, but I haven't had a chance today yet to go back through September and see my notes from that, so I can pull from that and say, okay, this is what I'm still doing. This is where we're at for progress. This is the lesson that I learned about taking on this or joining forces with other people. And one of the most powerful things I have found, which I guess would be a lesson learned, is that little acts, if we do small things, it's a whole lot easier. I am consistent because I have found that for me, consistency is way easier than not being consistent. Doing something every day, doing a little thing every day it's such a super secret, because most people don't ever tap into our own ability to break things down into teeny tiny pieces and just do a little bit every day to create what it is that we want. I don't know why. I don't know why it took me 50 years to figure it out, but it made my life a whole lot simpler when I was like, oh, wow, this is way easier than struggling trying to do these big projects in blocks of time that really don't work, and I have to sacrifice something or give up or not do something or say no to something in order to spend all my time and energy on this one thing. I'm hoping that makes sense. If it doesn't, hit me up and ask, because I'm a lot more clear when I'm not talking to the camera. So today, our action item is, of course, to apply the RAPLIG process to the contribution area and aspect of your life. And again, remember, we spent a whole day in September talking about how it interacts with the other life framework areas. So just review that and say, okay, what else might I consider in terms of interactions? What else might I consider in terms of lessons learned? And then just jot that down in your book for reference later, right? Because sometimes it's extremely powerful and time-saving to come back to our notes, to come back to the things that we've already done, just as a quick reminder. And sometimes it's just a few keywords that we need to trigger our memory and help us to experience what it is that we want to experience. So apply the RAPLIG to contribution, Bird Story Guide 2. If you need help, ask me or anyone else in the group. Otherwise, have an awesome day, and I will, of course, be with you tomorrow.